There's one exercise it's time for you to get rid of in your chest routine. It is the dumbbell fly. Now, the dumbbell fly is a classic exercise in your chest routines. You have it in there because you think it's hitting a key function. It's going to help adduct your chest. We're gonna get a really good squeeze on our chest, and we get to work from a long lever. The problem is there are a lot of ways that you can do that more effectively and avoid less injury chance, also get a better squeeze. So we're gonna adjust the way we do our routines. We're gonna tell you why you're not gonna do the dumbbell fly.
When it comes to the dumbbell fly, the main thing we want to focus on is emphasizing the muscle and not emphasizing stress on the joint, which brings it down to a safety and risk situation, which is why you should not be doing the dumbbell fly.
It's hard for people to find their range of motion. We think we're getting a really good stretch on our chest, but especially if you're new in the gym, you're gonna confuse a stretch in your chest for a stretch in your shoulder. You do not need to stretch this shoulder capsule. You also don't need to do that to get the most out of the fly, period. But the dumbbell fly invites that and invites you to go past that point where you're really training your chest anyway. So I think that's the biggest issue with it when it comes to range of motion.
Yeah, and it's the feeling of that stretch that makes you think that it's going to be something that is beneficial for you long term, which it is beneficial from having that stretch to the chest, but the risk to reward of the amount of emphasis on that front side of the shoulder is generally something that will add up over time and create some potential issues for us like we see with most bench pressers and people that do dumbbell flies on a regular basis, which really brings us to the second point that we want to discuss.
When we think flies, a lot of people think stretch, but the other key point in the fly, and the thing I really try to emphasize if you're really trying to work your inner chest, is the squeeze moment when we bring our arms together and we're really adducting our chest and we can really focus on getting that good squeeze. And I can feel my inner chest explode just as I'm doing that. And you lose that actually on the dumbbell fly. And the reason for that is if you imagine when you're bringing the dumbbells upwards, the moment that my wrist, elbow, and shoulder stack, gravity has suddenly left this lift and I have no real impetus to squeeze. So the dumbbell fly, in addition to being injurious, is also just a poor way of getting that maximum squeeze on the middle of our chest.
For most people, when they do flies, they don't do flies to build the outside of their chest. They do flies to build that inside T portion of their chest, which they're missing the point with a dumbbell fly, and there's much better options. And when it comes down to the third point, like we were going to discuss, is it's very difficult to choose the right weight for yourself because of gravity being involved. And when it comes with an extended arm, a matter of 5 pounds can be a massive difference when it comes to the emphasis that happens on your shoulder. And when your muscles can't accommodate for that, the joint's gonna have to take over, and that's not a joint that you want to have to manage that situation. So you don't wanna be in that situation for yourself long-term because you're putting the joint at risk and you're not really working the muscles the way you want to.
Exactly. In theory, you wanna be able to go fairly heavy on a dumbbell fly, but it is not easy to figure out how to go heavy. What we're gonna do now is take you through a couple dumbbell fly alternatives that directly correct the issues we just brought up. So the first thing we want to address is a safety issue, and the easiest way to fix that is something called the dumbbell floor fly. You can do this either on the floor or you can do it my preferred way, which is you kind of alter the position of a bench. You do it from a T bench, and then you're getting a little glute and core work in there as well. But the great thing when we're doing the dumbbell floor fly is, one, you can go heavy because there's zero risk on this. And two, we have solved the problem of getting too much range of motion because the floor is going to, or the bench is going to stop our elbow from shifting behind our shoulder. So we put our shoulder in a really safe position. We let ourselves go heavy. I think this is a great way to finish a chest workout.
The second option is gonna address hitting the central fibers of the pec that we're looking to get to, and that's gonna end up being the cable fly. And the nice thing about the cable fly is you're having a consistent weight moving through the pattern, whereas we discussed with the dumbbell fly, you get to the top bone stacking mechanism where you have wrist, elbow, and shoulder in line, and it's not necessarily working on the pectoralis major the way you think it would. So the key thing with a cable fly is gonna keep a consistent weight going through the entirety of the motion. So even when you're at the top, you're still working with the same emphasis you would be wanting to work with the dumbbell fly.
Exactly. I think the other thing I really like about the cable fly too is when we talk about wanting to get a stretch, we can safely get a stretch. When we're lying on a bench and we're doing a traditional dumbbell fly, gravity is going to really challenge that dumbbell and it's going to challenge our arm, and so that's where the risk comes. but that disappears once we get into a position where our torso is more perpendicular to the ground. Suddenly we're not fighting gravity, so you can push for a little bit of stretch on the cable fly if you want to. I think that's why I really love it. And the option that really emphasizes the squeeze portion the most, because we're changing the force curve of the resistance, is something that also happens to be incredibly cheap and something you can take anywhere: resistance band flies. We are strongest at this moment of peak contraction when we're doing any fly. You lose that a little bit with the cables, you lose that with the dumbbell fly, and even with our T-bench alternative, but bands are strongest when they are stretched the most. So if you go with a really good, strong resistance band, you're gonna get a lot of challenge at the beginning of the force curve, and then you're also gonna get a lot of challenge when you're strongest, when you want the most squeeze, and when you really wanna build mind muscle connection.
And for most people, it's funny because they see bands as a novice piece of equipment.
Me too.
They think it's something that isn't going to be for them, or they've advanced past it, when really bands might be the best option for you to actually get the results you were looking for, based on the profile of how that modality works and based on the effect that you're looking to get out of your chest. So it's funny to have that conversation and actually identify that, because it really has that epiphany moment for a lot of people when they realize that the band was the option they should have been using all along.
All three alternatives way better than your dumbbell fly. Get rid of the dumbbell fly and do what we said. Come at us.